scale of 1 to very Amish, how Amish do I look today in this outfit?
I give it a 4.5.
And for that, I give it 4.5.
Oh, busting with the boys. Go watch them.
Busting with the boys. They got to be doing their beer Olympics soon.
Yeah.
I think that's coming up.
Yeah.
I see them posting about it a little more regularly.
You look a little Amish, but I also don't know if the Amish folk will wear that color.
Probably not.
That would be the only thing, or earrings or makeup. So
It's really just the dress.
getting further and further away.
It's just the dress that I was thinking of.
Do you feel Amish? Do you want to be Amish?
Nope. It was just I put it on and I was like, this feels Amishy. It looks very clean, put together, which is not my style typically. My style is a little more thrashy and trashy.
Wow.
Like the neckline is so high, you're not able to see anything. Like everything is just very covered and baggy, and
You're conservative.
it's conservative. It's conservative Courtney moment. It's conservative Courtney hour.
Trump or Courtney? Yeah. The mint. Great color. It's just a great color.
Yeah, I would say this is more mint. There's some times where you say mint and I'm like, that's not mint. That's blue. That's aqua. That's lime green, whatever.
Speaking of, this is where we need to go with this. If you're saying you're going to have mint ice cream and it comes out as vanilla with
Jelly in it, basically.
Green
goo
mixed in, that's not mint ice cream.
And that is probably what all mint ice cream is.
100%. But
mix it up so I don't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mix it up so I don't see it. That's
Absolutely
like getting chocolate
insane.
milk and you get a glass of vanilla or a glass of white milk and they just squirt the Hershey syrup in it and then you just don't mix it.
Yep.
It's like, trick me.
Exactly. I don't want to see all
Trick
this.
me. No, I still have a little bit in the fridge or freezer.
Yeah, that's just not cool. Just unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Do you want to talk about how crazy we were the other day for how far we walked and then we still just got golfers at the end of it?
No.
Okay.
Next topic.
Next.
Moving on.
But I did like that combination. Mint chocolate chip. Or no, it was mint
Ice
with
cream.
chocolate chunks in it
Chocolate
and
croissant.
the Oreos. Yours was not good. They just didn't put a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah, they didn't put enough like pieces and stuff in. And that's why I stick with my tried and true I usually do of just vanilla concrete mixer with Reese's peanut butter cup and brownie pieces.
Yeah.
That always is the go-to, and it's the best one there is. I tried to go a little crazy, and it didn't work out.
I used to get marshmallow topping. That is so good.
I bet.
It's so, it's just so, honestly, like you're just being so.
Is it like
off the wall with that
tiny
choice?
little marshmallow pieces?
No, like it's like a. Oh, it's almost like what you would get like caramel or chocolate. Like it's just like a filling.
It's like marshmallow fluff that they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you can just like mix it in with everything, or I would get a chocolate shake with the marshmallow in it. I mean, just so.
Oh, that would be good.
Quickest down the gullet.
Yeah, that sounds good. We should go again, and I'll get that.
Living like I have all the lives. That's what that shows. It's like, just go for it, I guess.
I guess.
Like, just have no boundaries, no rules.
How are you feeling about going to nationals?
Next topic.
Next. How are you feeling about our workouts?
So not good because it's just been so chaotic. Like, it's not good.
That's weird that you have that view of it because I'm the way I've been feeling is like, wow, we've been more consistent than we have been in a little while.
What are you talking about?
Maybe not in a little while, but I guess I was thinking like we went back to Wisconsin and that was a whole just off the rails, not consistent, whatever. And then we come back and it's like, I feel like we're sticking to the schedule, but
I don't think we are at all.
Huh.
When was the last time we've lifted? The fact that you don't know shows that we're not. I think we've still been like walking and getting activity in, but anytime that we're not lifting, I'm like, you're not doing anything. You're like leisurely being active, but it's not a part of like you're sticking to the program. So to me, it's like
since we've gotten back from Wisconsin, we started the next phase, or we did one more week of the old phase, and that was pretty much every other day. And then I think we had 2 days off, and then we started the last phase of this program, and we've been every other day up until now. I think we've had 2 days off that we should have.
No, all those days that it rained, we didn't do it.
Yeah, we did.
Not going down there.
I'm pretty sure we've only missed like 2 or 3 days of, and not even 2 or 3 days of the workouts. Like we would do the weightlifting and then day off and do just like, walking and swimming and that sort of stuff. But then it's workout off, workout off. Like we've done every single workout besides one. And it was this one that we haven't gotten to in the last like 3 days. Otherwise it's been every other day we've lifted.
Okay, I challenge that timeline, but if you think so. But how I'm feeling about it is not good. Because to me, it just feels like it's not consistent or on or as crazy. It's also been raining, so like we're not getting full walks.
Yeah.
It seems like we're doing short little ones, or one of the days I think we were in here and we did bands instead of the lifting. So that just didn't feel as the same.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a instead or it was just a let's get more activity. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was instead.
2 different views of what has happened the last week.
I feel like I haven't worked out in a month. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's weird. I feel like it's been pretty good considering the weather and everything.
Yeah, I'm happy that you feel that way. I don't at all. I feel the most inconsistent ever.
Passive aggressive. I'm glad you're happy with that.
Well, I guess like if you don't feel like your body is breaking down or having too much rest, like that's great. I really notice when we're not lifting and I'm like, the fact that I couldn't tell you the last time we lifted to me is too long.
Yeah, I get that. It's so funny when you get so just like, and that's just wonderful for you, but
like I am like, to me, that's like the drinking thing. Like it affects you so much more obviously than it does for me. So I'm like,
so you think?
Well, no, it's like you actually notice the sleep, you notice the headaches. Like I don't, it's happening, but it doesn't clock in. Like the other night when I had a drink, I'm like, that was the best night of sleep I've had like in a while. I wake up the most refreshed.
And scientifically, no,
it's
wasn't.
like that's not true. But it's not like I'm walking around the next day going, ugh. To where you feel it, like you physically notice the symptoms. I don't notice the symptoms unless it's bad. But that to me is like the working out. Like I'm happy that you actually feel like it's been going good.
Here we go. I'm happy for you. I know you don't mean it that way. It's just, it's so
like,
funny.
I'm happy you don't feel how I feel about it.
Yeah. It's just like, when most people are not honest in that way, where they're actually that. It's most of the time it's a passive aggressive, like, well, that's just great for you. That I can't help but think like that's your attitude towards it.
That I could actually be happy for someone.
Yeah. So happy that you are feeling great about this situation, that you just have that attitude like you don't really know.
Yeah, maybe it's coming across like you shouldn't feel good about this because I don't. So if you think this is good, like you're wrong. No, it's just I can feel my body having lack of activity and lifting especially. So I'm like, oh, this would suck for you to have these like uncomfortability, aches and pains, and a little bit too much energy and whatever. Like I'm not utilizing it, so I'm noticing the lack of activity. It's turning into mind racing, and I'm stressing, and I'm starting to get a little bit more emotional. It's like it's just because I'm not putting it anywhere, so I'm not enjoying the mind messing around. That's happening.
Yeah, I get it.
But
well, and I think you like the exercise stuff to be more dialed in, the activity to be more dialed in. I think I'm a little bit more okay with it being loosey-goose sometimes, and then it's like, okay, let's reel it back in and get like really consistent again and whatever. To where you just have a shorter leash with that, I think.
Yeah.
I'm like, we've done pretty good. We've only we usually should have a day off and then back to it, and we just didn't get back to it, and now there's been another day. So it's like I've had like 2 or 3 days off where we should be, but it's like, oh, we'll just get back in the gym and it's cool. To where you're like, no, we messed up the consistency of it. Like we need to get back on it. Yeah.
Well, and it's consistency all around. It's like we're not just missing 2 lifting days. It's like the walks have not been the same or as consistent. So it's like, we're missing 2 lifting days, but you're missing 4 workout days total or whatever. And granted, that's not like that is that extreme physically. It's just what it does to me mentally. I notice it so fast that it starts to like tax in and tally on my days of, well, now what work am I not being as productive in? What conversations am I not being as productive in? What things am I doing around the house that are not productive because my mindset is getting messy and my emotions and all of that are getting a little irritated because I'm noticing I don't have the output. So it's just like, oh, that's 4 days of it not being optimal.
Yeah.
And that bothers me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get it.
But.
Yeah, because I'm the same way. Like I think it affects my brain first and more quickly. And then, I mean, because like, even just through the research and stuff, you're not going to lose muscle mass that quickly, or like you're not going to lose your health in 4 days or something like that. But it's the mental part of it that doesn't feel as strong as it could be. And
that's where I think a lot of people they're going to think I'm sounding crazy. You guys listening, I think you're going to probably think like, she has a problem. 4 days. But I think when you are so consistent with this stuff, and you see how good you feel all the time, when you don't have that and it's just like, oh, I could just go and do that and grab it and have it back, it just feels like, well, why would you not? Like you notice it more when when you are consistent and you are just on that high all the time. It's kind of like when you have caffeine or whatever. It's like, well, everything could just be better if I have caffeine and I have this feeling.
Yeah, totally.
Everything could just be better if I am active and I'm working better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good analogy. That's how I've gotten with the alcohol thing. Is that it's just, I'm so sensitive to how I feel with that. It's so drastic and it's so apparent to me of like, oh yeah, I didn't get the sleep that I should have gotten because my mind's just not working well today, or I don't have the energy, I don't have the ambition, I don't want to go do anything. But then I have like this almost like rushed feeling, always feel like I'm rushing because it's like not everything is calmed down and rested and can't think clearly. And that's totally how I get when not working out consistently or not getting enough activity. It's just that low dose anxiety all the time kind of thing. And I say that lightly because it's like people actually deal with anxiety. I'm not dealing with anxiety.
Yeah.
But it's just that like, oh, I feel like I got to do something.
Yep.
I'm getting just like ramped.
Yep.
And then you have nowhere to put it, or you're not putting it anywhere. It's like, that's an uncomfortable state to be in, to where when oh, I just need more activity and this will go away and I'll be able to feel better and calm down. You're kind of like, yeah, I just got to go do that. Why am I not doing that?
It's like that feeling of jitters when you have too much caffeine, or like that just on the starting line of anxiousness where it just feels like, or being aggravated. Like, I'm not pissed, but like there's just this low level, one thing could push me
Yeah.
into that zone. And then just like, oh yeah, but if I do this, like I'm that smooth level of caffeine and it just feels like it's ramping me up and I'm excited about things and inspired to have my day.
You're going to go use it.
I'm 95% of the time I'm there my whole day, all day, every day. It's like, yeah, I would rather be that.
Yep. Well, and to put a bad segue into that of what we're talking about today, the kids that we teach at the studio, I mean, not getting enough activity, you can tell the difference between the kids and their attitudes and their, you know, it's funny when we usually teach on Mondays, and when they've had a really long weekend of like maybe they had competition or whatever, they come in Monday and it's like
Madhouse.
No, it's the opposite.
Oh, when they have had a competition. Yeah. Okay.
They come in and it's like, who are these kids?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so calm and chill? It's like, because they're
exhausted.
wore out. Because they actually used energy that they're supposed to use, and now they're listening better. They're taking directions, and their just general state of being is very just like even keeled and good, and we're just going to do the stuff and like good moods and everything's fine. But when it's normal throughout the year and not having competitions or not doing stuff, and they're at school and we know what they're doing at school of just like not getting activity, not doing stuff, they come in and it's just, you know, Tasmanian devils everywhere, just spinning and running around, causing havoc.
Because you just had a weekend off of them not doing anything. They're not being active. They're not really going outside or doing anything. Then they go and sit in school all day. And then 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. is the first time they're actually moving their bodies.
Yeah. And this isn't even just the dance world. I'm sure it's everything. I'm sure
Kids,
the teachers
sports,
and teachers at school deal with it, I'm sure too, of just that they're crazy and they're everywhere. But I think they show the signs or the symptoms so obviously. You know, it's like when a kid is obviously very tired, but they're just like fighting it and they're saying they're not tired and they don't want to do it. And to the adult, it's so obvious to see. It's the same with, you know, they've got too much energy that they need to use. It's harder to tell that in adults, but I think for some reason we always think of like kids are just different than adults, but it's like we have basically the same, we have 99% of the same genes. Like we have the same mechanisms inside of us. So you as an adult are going to deal with the same thing. If you're not using your energy or getting out or doing stuff, like it's going to be, you're better at hiding it, or you don't show the symptoms.
I don't even think we're better at hiding it. We just do it in more manipulative type ways. Like I will get aggravated and maybe a little bit pissy and, you know, make quicker decisions. And I'm a little bit more curt in my communication over text or email or whatever. Cause I'm just like trying to get shit done. Cause I'm like amped to where kids will just cry.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to see me crying or like annoyed that I have to make dinner when they have to like clean up their toys or go to bed. It's like they will just be whatever base emotion is immediately coming to them, to where we're running through 5 different ones and then going, what's the less crazy way to get this out? But like we're still getting it out and still acting on the emotion. Yeah. Kids are just like, I'm just going to beat you to the punch. I'm sad, so I'm going to start crying.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm mad at this, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
We just typically don't walk around crying, so we put it in other ways. But like, we're still doing it.
So I have a question for you. Why do you think people that stay in the dance world end up being so different than people that are not in it? Like, what about it is in the dance world is creating just this interesting person? Is it simply just like the culture that's there and what you're all like buying into. Because
Yeah.
speaking of busing with the boys, like they're such football players.
Yeah.
And then there's dancers, and you're like, you're such a dancer.
Yeah, I
you
get
know,
what
it's
you're saying.
so obvious.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
clear of like,
You can totally see like when that person is an athlete or not, because it's like we said with busting with the boys. It's everything they talk about is through the lens of an athlete.
and I would even say football.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Specifically, like basketball players aren't like that,
Yeah,
or NBA
true,
players aren't like that.
True. I mean, and that's also something to do with that too. Like, what culture of person maybe is coming up in football versus coming up in basketball? Like, what culture were they around? Dance is kind of the same thing, I would think, is the dance culture that's popular. The dance culture that's popular and then grows is you're typically starting at a studio, you're a studio kid, you're going to a place, you're like, it's not like where it used to be where you're just like learning on the streets. That is a different culture, and you will see a grown-up that grew up in that culture, they have a different, like, they're not the industry type of personality, but it's like with that type of activity, you're also going to get a different home life. Like, that kid's going to have a different home life. That kid's going to have a specific kind of upbringing, someone that can pay for an activity that's not school related. Like, dance is always an outside of school activity, which means it's a more expensive activity, which it's like you're finding these things on your own. You're not related to the school. You're having to pay for every nickel and dime with all of those things. So it's a commitment. It's an investment. It's also an activity that's not just you go to practice and then your season's over, and it's like it's a year-round thing. So that's another type of commitment. And I think just all of those things tying together to this is going to be your thing. So a lot of kids, I don't think, do a whole bunch of other activities and dance because it's just hard to manage that schedule, and you get so involved in that life because there's so many different avenues to take it. It's like you're in basketball, you just go to basketball practice, to where you could dance and you could take 5 different disciplines, and then you could compete with that, and then you can get private lessons with that, and then you can go and try all these different things that are related to that you just become so, I think, wrapped up into that you are just that world, which means then you are just that identity. And then you start serving that identity of now I'm just like everybody else that's here and does that. And you're not challenged by other, like I think of Olivia, who I danced with in high school. Like she still played basketball. And it's like, that was still a little bit of a different personality. Like she wasn't so in this world because she's also going to school and playing with basketball girls. And it's like, that's not the same that person that gets excited over this stuff or like is motivated by this stuff, that you challenge yourself. That I think we just get so wrapped up into this way of thinking, and then there's no outside perspective. It's just people, like dancers grow up and then they bring up other dancers and they bring up other dancers. Then you just surround yourself with more and more of those people that culture gets really dialed in and really rich. Not maybe rich in a good way, but just
it's like, yeah, it's, I don't know what the word is. It's like deep.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do a basketball routine just for Olivia?
No.
Was it thrown out there?
No.
Basketball shorts and
well, no, but we did a dance. Yeah, I think she was. We did a dance where we sat on the floor the whole time, which I know sounds so stupid.
So fun. Exciting.
Like, creatively, it did really well because it's just like it's the one dance that you're gonna talk about all day because it was so different and weird. And it's one of those things like, are they really gonna sit down the whole time? They gotta stand up. Are they really gonna sit down the whole time? But each one of it, like the storyline of the piece was it was kind of like about suicide, which for a 15-year-old is
That's intense.
Kind of right, but
maybe a little not appropriate. But
it was like we were sitting in a car in like a position of a car, and the song was about suicide and how like everybody could be in one car but be so in their own mind and so in their own thought processes and what's going on and the drama in their life and all that. So like each one of us was playing a different character. So I was like the prom queen, that kind of person, and I'm pretty sure Olivia did her like basketball uniform.
Oh. That's funny. Yeah, with the dance.
Let me just pop up a video of that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's such a coming into the world more and more. It's so against what I came up in.
Yeah.
That it's hard to be like, how do you guys not realize how negative this is or bad this is? And I don't know if somebody came from dance and looked at football, if they would think the same thing, but there's so much lying and fakeness. There's so much lying and fakeness in that culture from my point of view. And it's so gross to me. Well, and I just don't, and it's very weird to me that people will just buy into it and just continue to be that way or try to be that way and try to get into the culture because they want to be a part of something maybe. But I just I'm so lost in it that I'm like, how do you not see this? Like, how do you not realize what you're saying? Or how do you not realize what you're talking about? You don't know what you're talking about.
I think what's tricky with anything that is an art, because dance is not a sport. It's just an art that we have tried to make into a sport through competition. But everything has that. Like, if you're a musician or you sing, it's like we still judge that because of what songs are popular, what artists are popular, who makes the most money, who sells out arenas for their concerts. Like, we still have found a way to judge it and categorize it. Painting, anything, like we have found a way to monetize it, which means we're going to judge it, which means we're going to categorize it, and which means there's some sort of, you need to also evolve it and change it to where I think if you break it down to it is just an art form and it's a discipline that you can get better at and excel at and like physically understand. I love it for that. I think it's another great outlet for creativity. I think it's an outlet to be able to challenge yourself physically and perfect something. Like, there is something to that where like there is a perfect way to do this and there's not, and you're constantly reaching for the perfection aspect of it. I think where it starts to get funky compared to, say, sports is there is still is it objectivity or subjectivity? Subjectivity to it, where it's not just, this is the technique, this is the discipline, you're getting good at the discipline. It's, but they do it cool. So then it's like, so then is it better? Like, that perfection thing is hard to do unless you understand, unless you really understand the structure of what that specific, like ballet is easy, but there's also different disciplines of ballet and different types of ballet that you can like get really good at and educate yourself on. But it's like, that's an easy kind of like, you're doing it perfect or you're not. These other new avenues that have been developed over time and new styles that have developed over time, it's not as like a clean, like there's not necessarily, like there is, but there's not a structure or a rubric or a technique base to, are you doing contemporary perfect? It's like, it's kind of a little bit up for what does the person want. Yeah, the interpretation of it.
Yeah.
That is trickier. And now we're also getting into worlds where we're just like going and throwing stuff on stage and competing it, but we don't have the base of the culture. It's like, how many hip hop routines are going on in regular competitions? It's like, you don't understand the technique. You don't understand the discipline of it. You're not getting the proper training, and probably because your teachers don't have the proper training and understanding of it. It's like, same thing with ballet. Like, you can find a way to judge it because you're judging technique, but it's like, you're not even doing the technique because you don't understand it and you don't have the knowledge in it. So then it's just like, did that look cool?
Yeah,
it's not like football where I don't care how it made me feel. You didn't get past this line, so it's a no, you didn't get the points.
Yeah.
To where you're...
Wow, you know football really well.
The ball didn't get to this part of the field, so you don't get it.
Sound like a robot explaining football.
To where I think with art, it's trickier because as much as you can categorize it of this is good, this is bad, this is the technique, in what music, painting, any type of art avenue, you're judging the structure and you're judging the actual technique of it, of is this good or is this wrong, with the skewed eyes of how did that make me feel? It's like, technically, that singer might not be as good as this one over here, but the way that the whole composition of the song made me feel, I'm going to trick my mind and think she sings better. It's like, maybe not technically, but
right.
You made it sound good. You made that dance look good.
And that's what I think is so weird with music, art, dance, anything that's up to interpretation like that. Why does it just breed a pretentiousness? And you get these people that consider themselves as experts in the field, and it's like, okay, potentially, sure, you maybe know a lot about it and you know history or you know this or you know that, but there's this level of like, it's funny to me of, so a lot of these things are up to interpretation, and there is, like what we're saying, or you're saying, there's some skill level and technique also blended with just like subjectivity of how does it look to the eye? How does it make me feel? How does it do this? How do we end up having people then that are experts on these things when so much of it is up to subjectivity anyways? Because yeah, we could have a technically better singer on American Idol, but the person that wins the competition is somebody that's not technically as good, but they make people feel more.
Yeah.
And then we're still having this judging and there's a winner, there's a loser, and that sort of thing, to where this person has spent their whole life just being a technical assassin with everything. But like, oh, they just don't look the way I want them to. And now it's off and it's done. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think that's what I love about sports and the point scoring and that sort of thing. Like, doesn't matter how, there's no subjectivity. Doesn't matter how you look. Doesn't matter this, that, whatever. Like, if you're scoring more points than the other team, that's the thing. That's mm-hmm. the game. It doesn't matter how you're doing it. They found ways to make it so you can't cheat in that way. To where, like, there's so many routines that I'll see and I'm like, this kind of looks sloppy. This looks not great. This is, it just, and I don't know anything about anything, but if you watch enough dances, you can start to understand, like, who's this studio? Because they have really good routines and whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you watch another one of a different studio or something, and it's like, I'm seeing a lot of the same moves and stuff, and this does not look as good, but it has a great message. So now we have to honor that. And it's like, I don't understand that world. I don't understand that thing. It's like, okay, it maybe has a good message, but they were terrible. So what do we like, how do we know how to feel or think? And I think the part of it that just confuses me the most is why do these worlds like all that subjectivity, it's breeding something like these specific types of people. That's like, why are you the way that you are? Because in every one of these subjectivity worlds of art, music, dance, the people that quote unquote rise to the top or are experts or know a lot, they all have this like arrogance and pretentiousness. And you see it in like the chef world too, weirdly enough. Where it's like
creativity too.
No, this tastes good or it doesn't. Like,
yeah.
And now it's like, oh, it's about presentation, it's about this and it's about that, and it should be this way and it should be that way. And it's like, yeah, great, but it tastes like ass, but it looks really cute.
Yeah.
And like oh, here's your meal, and it's,
yeah.
the size of a peanut butter cup. And it's like, how could you be so pretentious? And it's like, what is not clicking? I think it's the culture, but
it is culture. I don't know why, because it is so true. Like it's so true. You don't see that. It's like football players. It's again, like I will say it till the end of the day. It's like they're just the best. Like they are physically doing insane things. They make a lot of money because of that. But it's like, it's kind of crazy what they can do. But they're not like, yeah, and I'm an insane person. Or like, I'm out of, like, they know that they're good and they know what they can do. But it's not like the value of their person goes up. It's just like, I'm really good at this thing. But like, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Like, you're athletic and you can do a lot of physically crazy things. But
I think for the majority of them, yeah, there's obviously the outliers. I think what I find weird about the dancing is like, it seems like majority of people are bought into this, like, I don't know, this weird culture thing. And the fakeness that runs through it too is just, it's unreal to me. That's why I love where we work, because there's not a lot of that.
I think there's a part of that where that's like, it's like when Bobby Lee was talking about how when he wanted to like be this strange, like troubled artist, like that is almost part of the allure of like that struggling artist, or like you're creative and like you can't be normal or dress normal, because like that just shows, like, if I even think like me, like how I dress sometimes or how I talk sometimes or what I have an interest in. It's like I could be so vanilla cookie cutter that people might not think that I could dance or teach the way that I do. Because just like, you just look like a mom. What's going to come out of you? Like, you almost have to look people think you have to look the part to like sell the whole package.
Which is just like an image thing.
Well, it's like, I think that's what the culture breeds. It's like, you have to look this way or act this way or talk this way, because then that means you're like this other person that I know and everybody else that I know that creates and does that. It's like the more regular person thing you look and talk like, it's like, that's not what this is. You just expect them to not be creative. And
that's maybe where there's that distinct divide when you're going up through these different worlds. Is like in football, that's kind of what's told to you. It's like, it doesn't matter what you look like, your image, what your anything is. It's all about your performance. To where with dance, it's like the image matters, and you got to look a certain way, and you got to do this, and you got to.
Think of even that alone. I'm assuming most people grow up hearing this, but I grew up hearing stand out by any means necessary, basically. Like, find a way to tell them why you're unique, show them why you're unique, why are you different than the kid next to you, stand out, stand out, stand out. Well, eventually, we're all going to get to looking pretty crazy and doing crazy things, because you just need to one-up the person that's trying to do that next to you.
And this is what I don't get is, you're not really told that in football most of the time. Like, this is a team sport, so you're told like, do your job, everybody does their job, and we're a unit. We all work together, and that's the whole thing. I think there's still an underlying thing for a lot of people that's like, I want to be the person that makes plays and do really well and whatever. So the way that you stand out, you want
to be the one on the field, not on the sidelines.
Right. And the way you stand out is by your performance.
Yeah.
That's what I would be teaching with dancers, is the way you're going to stand out is through your performance, not because you wore this or because when you were dancing you were making eye contact the whole time and doing this thing and like walking right up to the person and whatever. It's like all of that stuff doesn't matter if you can't do the actual stuff that we're asking you to do, or you're not a good performer. It's like, we're not looking for somebody that has the vibe. But that is what dance is looking for. They want somebody with the essence and the vibe and the image.
Yep.
And I just come from a world that's like, none of that matters. It doesn't matter if you got white cleats on, black cleats on, if you got a cool arm sleeve or not. If you can't catch the football, you're not in the game.
I think where the industry is coming from, especially when you start getting higher up in it, it's like there are thousands of yous. So there's the thousands of yous that can execute. It's like, you all can execute. You all can do the thing. So who is going to stick out and how are you going to stick out? That's one thing that like Joey always taught us is like, you have to be the full package. It's not enough to just dance really good. It's not enough to just look a certain way. It's not enough to just be the one that's doing the most in the audition or in the class or whatever. It's like, you have to be the top-notch one at all of those things, and you have to be able to hold a conversation with that person. You have to be able to like be the business mind behind that. You have to be the one that's like how he told us with competition. Like, we were all competition kids and we went to all these competitions, but he told us like, it does not matter what the scoring of it is, because you're just another dance that's here. You have to make them care about yours, and like, you have to be memorable. That's what you're going to worry about, not the points, I guess, because it's like you said, like, the points are, did they just, get off of a lunch break and then you're the first one that they're watching and they're a little bit skewed and they're not noticing certain things, or they're hungry, so they're pickier on your technique. Like, we're going to still be in ballet for 3 hours a week, and like, we're going to still train and get you better at the discipline of dancing. But what's going to win the competition, or what's going to get you to stand out, or these people to come and want to work with you guys, like, you have to be memorable. We're doing a freaking dance that we're sitting on the ground the whole time. We're trying to stand up. That's the goal.
And that's where I don't like it. That's not the way that I would stand out or try to stand out. I understand the having the skills of the communication skills and like going up to these people and talking to them and like trying to get jobs or like giving them resumes and doing that, like being multifaceted in that way, and having more skills, not just looking a certain way, or because you did a dance where you sat down the whole time and people are like, wow, that's so unique and whatever. It's like, no, it's boring as shit. That's what that is. There's no way that dance is more cool or more fun than a good jazz funk. It's like, if I saw that dance, I literally would have said, why did they even put this on stage? Why did they take the time and the money to put this on stage? This makes no sense to me. You're sitting on the ground the whole time. And then if I'm a parent, I'm going, oh, it looks like they're really learning dance. What is this? You're sitting on the ground the whole dance.
Yeah.
That's where it's like these paintings that they were just talking about it on Rogan, of there's these paintings that's like a blank canvas and it sells for $300,000.
Yep.
That's like,
so dumb.
This is how I see this world, is you're so wanting to like fit into the culture or be a part of it that you feel like you have to think, oh, the one where they just sat the whole time was so unique and so cool and it just gave this great message and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, objectively it sucked. They didn't dance. They just moved their arms and flailed around on the ground. But
that's where, again, subjectivity comes in. With art, it's so stupid, but it's so hard, because there's also an element to that of they captured you. Like there's a certain also
I would have to
ability
see
to
this
that.
dance.
I know. I'm going to show you and you'll be like, that was it's more stupid than I thought.
Yeah.
I think there is something to that though, which I wouldn't suggest that to most teachers or choreographers. I wouldn't say, yeah, go put that on any kids. It's like Joey wasn't random about it either. It's like he also pushed, like, you have to be able to captivate with little. So it's like, yeah, I'm not going to give you all the flashy shit and the cool dances that's like, obviously they're going to like that. It's like, make them be memorable with half of your body.
Yeah, and if you can do that extremely well and be skillful at that, I understand it. But that's where I think there needs to be some sort of lines drawn. Like, are they still presenting skill? Are they still able to, I don't know, like, are they doing something that, I don't know, is showing that they're learning something or being efficient at something and doing a good job of it? Or is it you're just so trying to be different and unique that you're making these crazy routines or these crazy routines, you're making these crazy comments, you're talking in a way that's just crazy because you want to be unique and fun and cool and different, and because it's like the more different and unique you are in this world, the higher up you are.
Yeah.
It's this chase to how do we get more different than everybody, and how do we like think outside the box even more? And I don't think that that's a positive thing. And then teaching kids and putting kids through that and giving them that advice, I don't think is good either, because you're taking it away from the actual skill of what this is. Like you said, ballet has a curriculum and it has technique and skill. Hip hop has it as well. But then you start to get into these other areas of dance that are more new, and it's more just about subjectivity. You're supposed to have the base of ballet already and then move into this, but people don't even do ballet anymore. They just go take dance and they avoid that because it's boring and it's hard and it's learning something difficult. They just want to throw their bodies around, and they've never had to do a plie correctly. And then in this contemporary dance, we're kind of doing that.
Yeah.
We're flowing through that, or we're having straight arms, or we're doing these certain, like, you have to have that base where we're just skipping all of that. And then we're getting and putting stuff on stage that the skill level is just so minimal. You know, it's like if football started to turn to that, and you're just having less and less skill, and it's more about who's wearing the cool outfits and cool uniforms and who can make cool play. Like, you're getting style points for a cool catch.
That's literally what it would be.
It would be
style
like
points because you caught it cooler than the other person.
Yeah, it's like the integrity of the game and the skill that this requires just goes away. And now it becomes this subjective, pretentious, arrogant crap of like, well, okay, so you thought that was more cool than the other one? Well, I think differently. So now what? So now you don't have a point system in football. You have 3 judges that judge the game of who can play it the coolest. And like, where are we at now? And you just have like, and what qualifies these 3 judges? That's what's a huge problem in boxing and MMA, is they do a point system as well, but the judging is also off of interpretation of who's winning the rounds.
Yeah.
And you get these people that are like crazy out to lunch on these scorecards, and it's like, how could you possibly see it that way or get there? And it's like, well, he was doing this, that, and the other thing. He was defending really well, and when he would counter back, it seemed like it was more than this. And it's like,
it seems like.
Exactly. To where this is
like
the dance thing of like, well, they just had a really great message and this and that. It's like, yeah, but their skill was horrible. And now all we're promoting is have a cool message, and you don't have to have any skill.
Yeah.
It's real problems.
Yeah.
And it's the world that I
I want to say
in.
something, but I don't want you to cut it out. I'm just giving it. That's what I'm like trying to figure out how to redirect. Yeah.
I came up in a world of it's all about the skill. It doesn't matter how you do any of it. If you get the job done, that is the most important part. and you score the points and you do this and you like, and I just think that being in this world, hearing the conversations and being a part of them and watching dances and teaching at dance studios, it's like there's such a weird culture with this, and it's not healthy and productive for children. And then you get to see older people as well, and it's like, oh, this is where it leads to. We're not teaching them the right values here. And that's where the fakeness comes in, is they think that they are. And that's probably the worst part of it.
Right.
Take out the scoring, the competition, all of that stuff. The people that you're bringing up in this world and having effect on is not good.
Yeah. That's where I applaud who I worked with in high school. Like our company. Like he really... You could walk away and never dance again, and you still had all of the valuable skills, or a lot of valuable skills. That's what my mom focused on too. Like with her studio, it was a lot. They were not good. They were not technically good, or like you wouldn't see them and be like, they're great dancers. It's like, no, but
the byproduct was capable people.
Yes.
And like people that really had their head on their shoulders and had like
learned life lessons. That they took on to other jobs, other career paths, other, elements in school. Like my mom would focus on certain things because she knew, like, well, what if you have to talk? What if you have to public speak? What if you have to be able to hold yourself in an interview, or to be able to, present in certain ways? Like there's ways that you can train kids to be that way and to understand that and to be good at that and to be confident in themselves. And it's not this, well, you should be confident in yourself because you won these awards or because you're good at that. It's like, because you actually have the skills of, you understand how to carry yourself. And Joey really, really focused on that with us. Like, again, like the full package thing, but it's like, if you get hired for a job, it's less important that you are a really good dancer. It is more important that you can show up, be capable, be accountable. Like they know that they can talk to you and you're responsible. You're going to come up and like actually handle yourself and be a good representation of whatever brand or person you're working with. Like good dancers and good like technique driven people, they'll come and go and they'll be there, and you'll have to fight for your job. But like typically the people that outlast those people are the ones that you're proud to put in front of your clients.
And that was my football coaches in high school. It was the message of that was like, we could win state championship after state championship, and that's all great, but if you guys end up being bad people because I wasn't able to help facilitate that, like I failed. Cool, I got 4 state championships, but you guys are all bad people.
Yep.
And that is so much worse, because most people are not going to continue to go play football. They're going to go out into the regular world, 9-to-5 job, whatever. And my job is to help create capable kids with integrity and work ethic and discipline and like good people, nice people, people with manners. It's like we did a bunch of booster stuff and helped out the community and did stuff like that because it was important to him that we went off and were good people afterwards. That's the number one thing. And I think in the dance world, they say that, but none of the actions revolve around that. They say that that's what they want, is like, we just want like good people and nice people and whatever, but then you're judging everybody off of image. And then you're telling the kids that it's about their image. And one kid could have all of the things of, they look great when they dance, they have decent amount of skill and this, that, but they just don't have this little like attitude thing that I want them to have. And then you have a kid standing right next to him that has the same qualities, but they have the attitude thing. That's like, so you're going to take the kid that has an attitude problem, but it like works for them in dance, versus the kid that like can do all of the other stuff and is a nice kid this is the whole like.
But they just don't have the razzle dazzle.
This is the whole like the nice guys don't get the girl.
Yes.
They have everything that is important and should have, but you want like the bad boy.
Yeah.
That's the world.
Yeah. And I would say this is not everyone. This is not the whole industry. I have worked with a lot of people that are like coming from a good spot and actually thinking about that stuff and caring about the kids and caring about how they're bringing them up. And it's more about them just like being good people and having fun and having a good place to go to with friends. Like it's not like everything is just horrible, but I will say that it has gotten crazier probably over years and years. It's like whenever I remember going to being with my mom and being around a lot of her students, and we were having kind of this conversation of, what I want my kids to dance or what I want, like certain things, and just like talking through certain scenarios that were happening. And they're saying like, dance is just the best thing for you. And it's like, I'm like, it's just not what it used to be though. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
It's like getting into it even with like the training stuff and the injury. It's like, well, when you guys were growing up, like, would it have been praised for your injured dancer to stay dancing because you had a competition that weekend? Or because they needed to dance in that convention class and they have a broken leg and they have a boot on it and crutches? It's like, were you seeing that? Because we see that a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, is that mindset what you were working with?
Well, and that's like that. There you go. There's another. You're not trying to build good people. Like you're trying to get results out of this kid.
Well, and how many times do you see like whatever it takes to win, whatever it takes for them to win? It's like, that's, if you're coming from a viewpoint of you want these kids to like learn how to train hard and get really good at something, cool. But it's like, so you might take your kids to worse competitions or worse conventions and dealing with maybe not as great mentors and not as like, they're not getting quality education or people that have good hearts that they're training under, but they value your studio. So you're going to go because they'll give you better scores. It's like,
well, and
that's a different story. Like that's not wholehearted what you grew up in.
Yeah, right. And that's why we're in the state of the world that we are. This is kind of everywhere. It's more important to get the results rather than build people with manners. Mm-hmm. And this is what we get. Everybody's upset with all these things of people are crazy now and people are mean and they don't have manners and whatever. Yeah, you raised them. Mm-hmm. You raised them and you taught them. In your dance studios, on your football teams, your own children. Mm-hmm. That's why everybody's this way. Because you cared more about, you have a boot. Doesn't mean you can't dance and still maybe get a scholarship here this weekend. Mm-hmm. So, like, let's do that. It's like, what kind of message are you sending to that kid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's everybody's fault.
Well, and because that's also as the individual, parent, like, what are you going to align yourself with then, too? Because, like you said, like, where we work, it's coming from good places. So it's like, you're probably not going to get skewed into that world or start making those weird decisions if the people that you're surrounding with also have integrity and are coming from good places. Because like, great, then you're another person that's trying to do the good. So like, if you feel that way, like maybe don't work for a studio that's win by any means necessary or training their kids past the point of, injury prevention and health, what's efficient because you got to put on your Instagram that your kids are there for every hour of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to the training stuff, I give more of a pass with that because I think it's just a lack of information or understanding of.
Well, and that's really why we wanted to have this episode. It's not to shit on the dance industry or everybody that.
Like, I mean, that's why I wanted to shit on the dance industry.
Okay, you wanted to shit on the dance industry. I want to give information and light to like you said, this is just a continuing culture of this is what we learned, so we're going to do it. This is what we learned, so this is what we're going to do it. And how do we up it and make it crazier versus like, it is just a lack of information.
In this field, yes.
In this field.
In the performance field of it. The other field is just be a better person.
Sure.
That's not, you don't have lack of knowledge. But when it comes to the performance stuff, the thing that will forever get me is when you're lifting your leg up, you need to lift it with your glutes. Impossible. That's not how the body works. That's just not how the body works. You can't lift your leg using your glutes. You're using your quads and your hip flexors. Mm-hmm. And this is so nails on the chalkboard to dancers and dance teachers and that whole community. But go look at any sort of movement physical anatomy. You can't lift your leg with your glutes. Your glutes are actually relaxing and becoming more stretched out when you lift your leg in front of you.